I love Gayle. We met in the Gathering of Healers, and we didn't really get to talk then, but then I forced my way into her life in Colorado, and then ever since then we've been just bugging the shit out of each other. So, and she's like my right-hand man too, so, yep. So we've been having a good time gathering and collecting and collaborating, and the vision was no more leaders, no more gurus is basically what we wanted. And we've gone to so many conferences, and everybody wants to be that, look at me, oh, I'm such an amazing healer, and Sasha Diva, look at me. And you know, I was like, that is not coming from your heart space. So, and I'm not judging, it's just something that Spirit showed us. So we went to all of these different conferences, 6 months of conferences. And when we went, we were seeing, and Spirit was saying, okay, you can do this, but don't do that. And you can do this, and don't do that. Do not do that. So we started seeing the cultic vibration. And that really irked me. It really bothered me because it was sad because a lot of people were just coming into their spirituality, and then all of a sudden they want to follow these people, and they're giving their money, and they're giving their soul, and they're giving everything because they want to feel part of something. And I hated that they were taking advantage of the vulnerability of the time that they're awakening, and it really bothered me. So, and as I started meeting different people, I already knew who my soul tribe was. We were seeing who was going to weather the tide. We were seeing who was real, who wasn't, and who was authentic. And the way that we did this conference is very important. You will see all of the teachers that are going to be teaching are going to support the other teachers, because we're all student teachers. We're not masters. Okay, no more gurus, right? So we can be teachers though. Teachers is all right, but it's like we have to be eye to eye. Nobody's higher than anybody else, and this is why we put our chair here, and this is why we're in circle. So this is something that's really important. This is the new wave of learning and teaching each other. And then tomorrow we'll have a panel, and we'll allow the younger generation to speak as well. But we want everybody to kind of balance everything out and see all the different perspectives. And you take only what you need from it. We're not force feeding you, spoon feeding you, or anything like that. But we did learn a lot going on this journey, my husband and I, and we learned a lot about ourselves too. So it was pretty awesome, huh, honey? So we met our Colorado family, which was really super amazing. We have an Idaho family as well that we work with too, and Arizona. So we've been working with a lot of different people to try to bring this collaboration all around the world. We met some people from Canada, and we've been invited to Canada now. So this is we're going to be going overseas with what we're doing here. So this is the blueprint of what we're doing, and then we'll attract the right people that are on this movement, but it's going to be the real people, the raza, the people that are from the earth, not trying to be like, oh, look at me, I'm going to wear my red cape and my suit. So be wary. We always tell you discern. Check in with your heart. You know, come from that heart space. You know, I like to fluff my peacock feathers, you know. So this is kind of tame the way I used to be. But it's just that time where we have to be authentic and impeccable and have integrity. So that's where we're at. So we met these people that have integrity, and now we're trying to teach the next generation to have integrity and impeccability and be here to support each other at the right time. So all of them got a phone call from me just now. So yeah, including Mahudi. So yeah, so anyway, here we are, and we have Gayle, and are you ready to tape? Are you ready? Yeah? Can you hear us good? Okay, cool. I'm louder than her. So here we are, Gayle Fowler.
Good morning, everyone. Hi. Hi, those of you on Facebook. So when Tammy had talked to me about, oh yes, so how many of you are really sensitive to certain scents? What I want to do is share with you one of the sprays that I make called Hummingbird. And it will help you to raise your vibrational frequency. Is everybody okay with that? It has like violet. Are you? Oh, You're sensitive. Oh, no. Okay. Oh, okay. Oh, then no problem. So what's interesting about these sprays, Garrett made sprays. He was the spray guy. So I got messages from my guides. They kept saying, you need to make these sprays, you need to make these sprays. And I'm like, Garrett, you need to make these sprays. He's like, you gotta do it. I said, you're the spray guy. But what happened was, the first spray that I made was hawk. Now, as I mentioned last night, I work with bear. So I figured my bear would come first and want me to make the spray. Hawk came first. I was like, oh, okay, hawk came first. Then I realized, oh, duh, it's for communication. Helps the clarity. So I needed to have the hawk spray in order to receive things a little more clearly. Now, one thing you need to know about me is that I admit I am a control freak. And I have problems with going with the flow. So when I was told many times, healing for me that was normal. When I was born, probably was a healer, probably healed my mom while I was in the womb. But opening up to receive messages from the guides or to start channeling, I was like, not going to happen. I got to be in control. Well, then we found out that doesn't work that way. So the first time I actually channeled, because a friend of mine had said, you're going to channel. I'm like, whatever. I was working with one of my clients. And it was interesting because before the client comes in, I try to ask, what kind of messages do you have for the person? And they told me to tell her, remember to keep watching the stars. I was like, okay, I'll pass it on. I knew she was trained as a shaman. I knew that she did a lot of assistance with healing. She was actually a licensed therapist too. So like, okay, I'll tell her. So first thing, she's on the table, and I said, okay. A message came from your guides, and they said, keep watching the stars. And she stopped, and she looked at me. She said, did you know my nickname was Star Child? I was like, oh, I didn't know that. I just knew your name is Barb. But then as I'm working on her, there's this council of Galactic. A Galactic council came forward. And they said they wanted to talk to her. And I'm like, I'm not going to let you do that. And they were like, no, we need to help her to heal. So for me, I'm very picky as to who I allow to come through. They must be from the heart, that's the first, and of the highest vibrational frequencies. So finally they showed me the love and the need to work on her. So I said, okay. Because I had tried letting channels come through me, and I couldn't do it. I was just having too hard of a time because I'm still in my mind, right? My logic, I'm not going to let anything take over my body. You're crazy. But when I allowed them to come forward, I just felt it here in my heart. And then all I remember was, them coming in. Next thing you know, being to leave so they can finish work with her. I had no idea. I kind of walked out and I had my feathers with me after doing the clearings. So I walk out with my feathers, and I'm kind of like, ooh, what the heck just happened? And just so happened, the person in the other office, Marcia, she's a massage therapist, but she's also a Reiki master, but she's a very spiritual woman. And just so happened she didn't have a client. So I walked into her office and I said, Marcia, I just channeled and I'm freaking out. That was my first experience. And then I found, I'm a trance channeler, meaning that I don't remember when they come through. So a lot of times they'll say, Gayle, you said such and such. I'm going, I don't remember. So friends of mine would record it for me. And I have the book
So like, that's so cool. Wow, that's so interesting. And then be like, oh wait, that's me. I said, well, it actually wasn't me, but it was me, and I knew nothing about what they said. So the ties back to here. When we are lost, when we're sad, you got a lot of heaviness, you're carrying the burdens of the world, it makes it difficult for us to really start to go into who we are, moving into our gifts. It tends to hold us back. And luckily I've had great teachers who can help me, but one in particular was Garrett, because he would be like on my case, like I'd be worried, I'm doing this for a living full time. I used to work in corporate world. I had 250 people, reporting to me. I was the boss, and now I'm doing this. And I was a closet healer. So most people didn't know I was that way. So, and Gayle was saying, needing to let go of the need to control. Needing to let go, because I'm a planner. I mean, I have plan A, plan A don't work, plan B, plan C. I used to be a project director, and, that's what we did. A system for Colorado. And they put me on that project because of my ability to organize and keep things back and planning. I really tried, but it didn't work. Even by nurse class, Karen and I did a shamanic Reiki class. I had the outline, I had my point, all the handouts, things were gonna happen, and then that morning, I was, getting ready, and then I had a mistake. I was very lucky to be with White Buffalo. So I kept trying to give me excuses so I wouldn't do it. Well, I went to the class and Garrett's like, what is wrong? I'm imbalanced. And he goes, what happened? And I said, well, I didn't follow the guidance, the direction. I didn't do my hair. He says, why didn't you do this? I don't wanna be like a native wannabe. And so Garrett looks at me, he goes, that is your ego talking, not your heart. So then a friend who had come early, she helped me to braid my hair, and things went a little smoothly till when it came we were going to do, we did an attunement, and we were going to do a journey. So I had it all in order. Grandmother, White Buffalo Camp woman, wasn't going to have it. She's like, no, we're going to do it this way. I'm like, I got like a more to go through before this one. That's when I release and go with the flow. So as a healer, I believe my role is to help others. Not to say, I am healing and you're you. It's Reiki with shamanic twists. And so I teach them about working with your guides, working with nature, honoring, and helping people to release the burden. So I do a lot of extractions when they're like, how do you extract something that's tangible? I said, good question. So little tips and tricks that I've learned along the way. Actually, I'm going to have you guys will do this, okay? I want you to think of something in your body. You have some pain, okay? Now I want you to think about, create a shape. This pain's going to have a shape. So it has a form. It has texture. It has a scent to it. And visualize that. Visualize it becoming into something tangible. Okay? Now what I want you to do is basically go in there with your hands. I use my bear claws. Go in and pull it out. And then send it down to Mama Earth. Well, she will transmute it, transform it, and send it back up as healing light. Do you feel the pain? Is it lessened? Are you awake? So then I said, okay, we need to fill up the hole. I like to see chocolate in it. You know, fill it up. You know, and people are like, wow, that was so neat. I said, you was amazing. You're a great healer. I said, you did it. I'm just here to help you. So in terms of what I have learned about the healing, and I've seen the tradition, I do, but
This has been a long time, but it's nothing so. I didn't. There's no judgment on others. My shoulder feels better. How did you do that? How did you know? I said, actually, I really didn't know. You guys are the ones who told me. You know, it's like I'm just the vessel. It comes through me. So that is part of one of the core parts of my healing. So always heart-centered, and then in the highest vibrational frequency. And I use light, you know, the light energy to help them heal. So as we talk about star beings and the connections and where we're going to, moving towards disclosure, We need to let go of all that junk that we're carrying that's holding us down like an anchor. Now, we are human. There'll be times when you're upset. There'll be times you're like, oh man, I'm still holding a grudge. Many of my clients have been sexually abused. And the hardest thing for them to release, because most of the counseling they go to, they say, you need to forgive the perpetrator. We use that term because one of my clients is a police officer, so the perp. We're going to forgive that perp for all this stuff. And I said, why them? They imposed it on you. What you need to do is forgive yourself. Because most of people it happens to them, somehow they think, I must have done something. Exactly, their fault. And so I've been able to help them. It's not like something that I can just be, and it's gone. It takes time, and it does seem to come back. I said, it's not the same thing, but we're going through layers upon layers upon layers. So this is how I approach my healing, and this is how I teach my students who are also teachers to me. So healing for me and the Star Connection, it actually started out in, my son was born in 94. So I was nursing him, I was still living in Hawaii, and I had read the book, The Celestine Prophecies. And then I knew about the Pleiadians, all this connection and everything. And they talked about the veil. So here I am, I finished nursing, my baby's laying next to me. I'm like, I'm going to try this. So I reached my hand up to go through the veil, and guess what? Something touched me back. I'm like, whoa! And it freaked me out, grabbed my baby, left the room. I guess I wasn't ready yet. But that connection has always been there. So we have a lot of guides that we have, the earthbound ones, or the ones who walk the earth. We have the star beings, or you can say the angelic ones. I have the Sasquatch here, or Bigfoot. According to Kiwoni Laparitis, he believes that they are star beings. I was like, well, that's pretty cool. So Garrett actually put us in a situation where we had the opportunity to connect with them. And I'm a big skeptic. I need proof. So what happens? What am I on time? I'm good? Okay. So what happened is we went to, at their family sheep camp. And so there, and we're like, okay, I'm ready. I'm so ready. And then I'm going, well, I'm okay. Well, maybe I'm not quite ready, but as long as somebody else was with me, I'm ready. So we were going to do an offering, and so we had ears of corn. So we're holding the corn, right? And our hands are full. As we're walking, and he says, okay, we don't want to use any flashlights. I'm like, I don't want to step in cow poop. There's cows there. He's like, let your eyes focus. Let the moon. I'm like, okay. So we're going. It's like, okay, because I'm a city girl, and that was really roughing it for me. I wasn't sure if I was going camping. I'm like, no running water? No bathrooms? We have an outhouse. I'm like, how am I going to wash my hair and take a shower every morning? So I kind of went in a little bit of, I'm not sure this feels comfortable. But we went in and we went to go connect. So like when we do an offering, I'm like, okay. So as we're walking up there, you hear these hoots and calls and really loud. It's not like those TV shows you watch, like Finding Bigfoot, where you gotta listen really closely or record it. It was loud, and there were a lot of them. So I'm standing there and going, is somebody doing a ceremony, Garrett? Now in this place, there's no, you don't have neighbors close by. And he goes, no, it's them. And they're excited for us to be here. And of course, what happens to me, I'm like, they're here? Okay, I think I'm ready. He's like, stay in your heart space, stay in your heart space. And he actually wanted individually to go up, and there was this big stump that they had. We're going to put it on there. And then we're all kind of like, we got to go by ourselves? He goes, okay, 2 of you go up. So we went in there, and it actually made me feel happy. Like I felt their joy. And so then I started connecting with them.
And they are a strong. I have several of the guides that come forward who are the Sasquatch. And I always believed in them. But so I heard them with my own ears. It's like, well, you can't say it was other people because we were all around, it was just us. It's like, okay. So I think it was like the day before we left the camp, Garrett had talked about his family had his dad had built a sweat lodge or something. So I was curious to see it because he said women can't go in the sweat lodge. So more so I was curious. Oh, I just want to see it. So we're up, I think it was like a logging road or something. We're walking on there. I think it was like 9 of us. So I'm looking, and I stopped, like, what's that? It's like this thing I saw from the back, long black hair. It almost looks like somebody brushes a hair. I'm like, what is that? Maybe it's, somebody a native with long hair. Not your whole body. But my logical mind is trying to talk myself out of it. And Garrett's behind me talking to Tracy. I'm like, Garrett! He was out here. I'm like, Garrett! So I turned, Garrett. He's like, what? I said, look! And they were gone. And so I tried to explain. I said, oh, maybe it was a raven or something. And the others in the group, Gayle, you know what you saw. But during that visit, we received we call it the healing wood, the squashy wood. So this came from a ponderosa pine tree that was struck by lightning. And it was actually Tracy's grandson, Ronnie, who came with he had his towel filled with wood chips. He said, the Sasquatch said to use it. They helped me to basically chip them away. And well, I was 9 before, and I have 2 boys. When they were 9, I'm like, okay, Ronnie, sure. But then he told us, draw a box with it. And so Garrett was connecting with the spirit guide. Well, it was actually the Sasquatch, but he came in spirit form. And that was the most amazing healing. That's what you guys experienced this morning. So I'm like, this is pretty cool. So we all wanted to hold that towel full of the wood chips. They're like, pass it on. They're like, wait. So we use the gifts that we receive to help others. And so I use these tools when I do my work. I'll draw a box around my massage table, or I'll use it to have people extract a lot of the junk that they're carrying. It helps you to bring balance and focus. So we saw that with the wood. Then one night, Garrett and I were at my office, really late, and that's always when it's bad trouble. We always do fun stuff. But where he's like, oh, why don't we do this? So I had selenite. He goes, what if we put the wood on the selenite? So actually, these are one of the ones that we originally made. It's the wood, and I work with crystals. So I said, okay, I'm gonna touch crystals. Oh, there's some selenite. That's good for clearing. And then what I have here is actually the twigs from a cedar tree that was struck by lightning. So it's like, wow, and Garrett made his own. We're like, this is so cool. We gotta share it with everybody. So we said, fine. But when we use the selenite, and I said, oh, you have to put kyanite on it too. So it makes it a self-clearing wand, and it opens up all the chakras and brings balance. We started giggling because like, ooh, this is pretty intense. But again, it's tools that we received to use this to help others. So part of my role here is to help people heal, to bring them to center so they can go into their gifts. Sometimes I help them discover their gifts, but a lot of times they're you're so in wisdom, you're like filled with wisdom with me. Not really. I just can connect with your guides. So really, I don't have the gift. They just talk to me and I share. But the healing part is mine. When I was little, about, I don't know, my hands used to just get warm. And my dad would say, like, put your little radiator hands, you know. He played a lot of sports and stuff, so I would do that. And when I was probably like maybe 8 or 9, and my dad was in an athletic club, so we always had parties, you know, at the beach or whatever in Hawaii. And one of them was talking about his healing. He learned how to do Reiki. And I'm just listening. Now keep in mind, everybody in Hawaii is auntie and uncle. So I was talking to uncle. I don't know if he's really blood related, but he was uncle. And, you know, I was like, I want to do that. I want to learn how to do this. And then he said, if you put your hands in the wrong place, you could hurt somebody. I was like, I don't want to do that. You know, and being an empath on top of that, it's like, I'm not going to do that then, because I don't want to hurt anybody. But I still had it within me. You know, so as I got older, I was like, well, close family members or friends, you know, I would work on them. And, you know, they said they would feel great. I would feel all their emotions. And our natural instincts as healers is to take the pain from somebody else. And we take it in so that they feel better. Yeah, so then we end up going, you know, like, I go like, this is what you got to do. But it's not very nice when you're working on somebody. It's like, this is terrible on you know. But when I was younger, I had no filter, so I do that, that's like black, you know. And then, so, you know, it took a while, and I didn't realize what I was doing. And I'd start to feel a little drained and everything, but I figured that's what all healers do. Because a lot of the Hawaiian healers that I knew, that's what they did. A lot of the healers that I knew had all kinds of ailments. So it wasn't until I moved to Colorado and I met this really nice woman, one of my first mentors in Colorado. And she said, you should take Reiki. I'm like, I don't want to hurt anybody. And she's looking at me like, what? She says, there's this great teacher. And so, but she says, I've never taken classes from her, but I heard she's really good. And you can sign up through Colorado Free University. I was like, why not? You know, just check it out. It wasn't so bad. Her name is Marnie Vincolisi. Now, Marnie has been taught many different healing modalities. And so I thought, this is going to be somebody like the guru. I need to meet her. But then I'm like, well, let's just see. So I go there, we meet her, and I'm like shocked, going, how did she know the questions I had? You know, how did she know that I had issues with doing healings because I'm afraid of hurting somebody? You know, I was like, okay, so we talked later, and you know, I told her why I didn't want to do it, and why I was afraid. She says, you can't hurt anyone when you're coming from a place of light and love. And all of a sudden I was like, that feels pretty good. Yeah. And then I decided, I'm going to continue with it because I like her. So I went through all that training. And I'm like, I'm a enlightened person. I'm a Reiki master teacher.
And I work on people, you know, but she had asked me at my master teacher level, do you get any messages when you work on people? I said, And what do you do with it? Nothing. She said, why? I said, because they might think I'm crazy. I might have just made it up. You know, I kept giving all these excuses. And then she told me, the messages you receive, your only role is to do that. Share the message. And it's up to the person who the message was for to do with it what they choose to. But I'm like, okay. Well, I don't really care if somebody thinks I'm crazy because, you know, it's me. So I started doing that, you know. In the beginning, kind of like wait. And finally said, and by the way, you know, there's this man standing here, and I would say he smells like this tobacco smell, and he said this, and then they would like, that's my grandfather. I was like, really?
They're like, yes. And then one of them was like, like this unusual names comes up. Or like they say something that I'm like, is that even a word? But they're like, say it. So, I'm like, okay. And, whatever his name, like Cookie Bear or something like that. And then they would start to cry. Like, I didn't mean to make you cry. And they're like, no. And then they'd give me validation. So the more and more I felt comfortable, the more and more the guides would send me messages to help the person I'm working on. And it could be something that is in their subconscious, maybe even a past life thing. But when we work from the heart and we work with the light, it helps others to raise their frequencies. So, most of us older people, we got more aches and pains and stuff like this. And then always they say, okay, what was the reason this happened? What are you supposed to learn from it? I'm like, yeah, okay. Ask Anthony and Tammy and even Tracy and Garrett, we were at our last conferences and I was constantly walking around, even though I was in pain. I said, I'm working here. When I have time, I will sit down, okay? And then you had all the people, the participants at the conference, starting to say that, and I'm like, I'm getting irritated now. But I know why it happened, because number one, I don't ask for help. Number two, I'm working too hard. So even as a healer, I need others to remind me. So you guys have a lot of messages to share for me as I do for you. As we're going to journey onto the, I'd say the next world or the next realm, or after we have all of this disclosure coming up, I want you to be prepared. Be prepared to help to heal yourself, to release all that junk so that you can move forward and raise your frequencies. How many of you have those days when somebody cuts you off and you just want to flip them off and you're yelling and stuff like that? Yes. That's normal. But when after you do the flipping off and yelling, it says, with love. We're human, guys, A lot of us want to stay up in the realms, always be above. We still have to live here. We still have family members here. We still have communities here that we need to assist. So learn to be able to work here, but release our junk. The biggest, I think the most powerful tool I learned was breathing. You're like, yeah, I breathe every day. It's a different way of breathing. So what I want you to do when you're breathing, you breathe in through your nose, and as you exhale, you're pulling from your diaphragm, and I want to hear that exhale, like, because I've had people, okay, let's breathe. They go, that's not going to clear anything. Okay, then they go, I'm like, okay, do you feel better? Not really. Okay, try this. So everybody breathe in through your nose and blow it out. Okay, now I want you to imagine anything that's bothering you. We breathe in, and as you exhale, you release that junk. Ready? One more. Now how do you feel? A little lighter? Sometimes it may take more than 3. I just need to tell you, when I have fights with my husband, I'm like, 20 gone by. I think I need to go drive somewhere, and I'm in the car going, okay. Then after that, with love. No, I do that after. I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot, with love. But we have to release it. When you learn to release it and not hold it in, you're gonna be in that state of being more. You're able to, something bothers you, you can just wash it off. So that's what I want you guys, if anything, to take away from this, my discussion here, is that peace. And always, when you come from your heart, you can't go wrong. Listen to your heart, not your mind. It's not important for you to really focus on working on building the power in your third eye. Your heart is much more powerful. So many people, the reasons you're here is because you come from a place of your heart. And so just remember that. And everyone, you have a gift, whether you know it or not, and you have knowledge to share. And so, as Tammy says, I'm the teacher today. You could be the teacher tomorrow. I always know from everyone that I work with that they have something to share with me. So, does anyone have any questions? Are you all feeling like, because you just got sprayed again? In our classes that we have, I have the OSHA or the bear route. That helps people to ground so that they can drive home. We've had some people, and me in particular, I went to journeying to the upper realm with Granddaughter Crow. And she goes, you okay? I'm like, I'm fine. Driving and backed up, and darn, this yellow pole just jumped in the front of my car. Go home, my husband's like, what the hell happened? I wasn't in my body when I started driving. He looks at me. He believes, but he doesn't believe. So it's good to be flying, but how many of you feel like sometimes you're an airhead? It's like, what happened? I thought today, like we were talking, it was like somehow I lost Thursday. It's like, what happened? And then Garrett saying like, like when we were here on Thursday, you thought it was Friday or something. That happens. So we do need to honor Mama Earth, and we do need to say, hey, I need to reconnect with her. So you would stand or sit wherever you want and feel yourself growing roots and feel the energy, the love coming forward. Yes?
What would you tell younger people who are starting to experience their hands getting hot?
Like little ones?
Yes, like little ones.
That's my favorite topic. Because I feel it's like critical, between 8, 9, and 10. It's a critical time. It's like they're kind of getting rid of the childhood, and they're stepping into more of the, I call it tainted. So first thing we need to do is everybody has a gift. So some people may feel heat. Some people actually may feel cold or some tingling. Because we're all unique individuals, everyone may experience it differently. So what I do is, if you're starting to feel that and you feel like, I want to go and touch somebody to, put my hands on something, or my dog or my cat, do that. And just think, this is a thing I want you to remember, that the healing is coming from above, coming through you and out your hands. So you're not giving all of you, you're just sharing. And I call it the 2-for-1 deal. Because as I'm working on somebody, I'm getting worked on too. Does that help? Just embrace it.
And what about, one of the children asked me, how do you turn it off? Because they said, I thought you said it was only going to turn on when somebody needs it. And if they're hot, what am I supposed to do?
That's a good question. The belief, at least from the terms of Reiki, it turns off when it needs to turn off. So sometimes I'm working in an area, I'm like, okay, it's kind of getting cold, move to the next place. But sometimes that tingling may not be because you have to heal somebody. You could be sensing energy. You could be sensing spirit. It could be more than just the healing part. So that's your little indicator, I call it. You feel it, there's something going on. Now I'm a medical intuitive, so I could walk in a room going like, oh, somebody's got a neck ache, a back ache. I better go find out who it is. But that's the beginning. But no, it's love. You're working with love. And there's no fear of having somebody, just say, I want to put my hands on your shoulders. Especially the little ones, they can get away with it. If I was to do that, I want to put my hands on your shoulders or your back, they're like, what? But I encourage it. And I'm actually want to teach little ones. I'm trying to build that community to help the little ones feel they're not crazy. They may not be like their classmates. At least they are not aware of that. But they're special. Everybody's special, but their special gifts needs a little more attention to help them. There's a movie called Crazy Wise. And in that documentary, it shows two
individuals. One of them, when she started to show in our medicine, they thought she was crazy and they had to keep giving her more and more drugs. She was suicidal and all these things. Okay. Another one, they loaded him with the drugs and they wanted to put him in an institution. But throughout this program, they're saying, in many cultures, when someone experiences this, when they say they hear voices, they're treated as these people have the gift. They're medicine men, medicine women. They need the training. They need the guidance. We don't have that here. So that's what I want to encourage. I was always different. I'm a middle child, so, I was always on my own. But it really would be nice to be able to have somebody to go to. And that's why the way we're setting up now, all of us bridgers, we can help that. Because there's many times growing up, like I would say before, the joke is, I tell my mom, Mommy, there's a ghost in that room. Don't go in there. That's how we dealt with it. I had dreams when family members passed. One of them, the first one I remember was my great-grandfather. We called him Gigi. And I saw him. I knew it was a dream. For one thing, my sister and I shared a room. So when he appeared, the room was nice and clean, and we had the bedspreads on and everything. I don't think that ever happened in real life. But he came out of his urn. He had an urn. And I guess it's the Buddhist culture that they send the urn, I always call it the box to all the children who stay at least a month. And my uncle, who was the youngest and the only boy, he was the first to receive it. We were at his house, and my great-grandpa passed away 2 days, or not passed away, but we had the ceremony 2 days before my birthday. And so when it came to my birthday, we're still, kind of like in mourning. So my grandmother's sisters, my great aunt says, you can't celebrate birthdays. And we're at my uncle's house, and my grandma says, you can't take that away from a child. But I was old enough to know that I could hear it. I'm going, ooh, this is something bad. I shouldn't do this. But they did anyway, which I was happy. My aunt made me a great cake and everything. And then that evening, I guess the guilt was still in my heart. That's when he came forward. But he spoke Japanese. I know only the bad words in Japanese. But he was trying to communicate with me. And, I got scared because I saw his spirit come out of the box. It's like, why would the box be in my room? But, it was just all of that in my mind. And he came out and he was trying to talk to me. So I got scared. I got up and I ran to my mom and dad's room. I'm like, Gigi came. And they're like, what? Because I was younger. And I said, Gigi came out of the box and tried to talk to me. And my dad's like, go to sleep. It was just a dream. And so okay, that's your experiences. But when it kept happening and when I was old enough, I knew that it wasn't a dream. So help our young ones. Help them come to their full potential. Yeah, I put my own timer so I remember. Remember I talked about that personality thing? Yeah. Yes.
Thank you for sharing all this today, but everyone can hear me. We visited Hawaii, and we went to an Asian cemetery. I think it was, yeah. And there's this tree. We went to the tree, and there was a bunch of us. And as a light worker, empath, when you go to spots like that, I'm not sure if it's a vortices or what have you, but do you feel the vibrations and the people coming through and talking? Because that's what happened to my wife and I, of the loved ones who have passed, came through. It was really, at that time it was a bit startling.
That's a good point. Do you know if it was a banyan tree on top of that? One of those big ones? Yeah. So the Hawaiian believe too, that's where spirits reside. So I always felt that when I was growing up. Sometimes, as you know, that was fearful because no one said, hey, they're good. Only people that I knew was, those who had crossed over, like my grandpa came to see me and things like that. I felt love and joy. But I remember at a young age too, I feel like there's some sadness here. It's not because of the cemetery. Then I realized, the hindsight, I'm looking, there's things that they wanted to take care of before they passed. But those of us who are empaths, we sense all emotions. And so that's why we can how would you deal with that? What we do is we send love. And that will help them to come. Or even just give them honoring them, and they know we're with you and we're sending you love. That helps too. But that scares the what out of you in the beginning. And after we get over that, we can go through there. But yeah, it's because of your gift too. Yeah. Anybody else? Okay, with that, I'm going to close this presentation. I am doing some healing sessions. I've got 4 people signed up already, but I'll be doing that also tomorrow as well. I'm going to do a workshop on Sunday, and it's all about clearing and releasing. So I don't know how we're going to work that out yet, but I will be teaching that. Right, well, thank you, everyone.